welcome back to Books with Brandywine. It is a new year, and so I wanted to go over the books that I read last year. Now, you've seen a lot of my book reviews and a lot of my spotlights, so you know probably about half of the books that I read last year by now. In 2018, I read 39 books, which came out to 13,800 pages, which is way more pages than I would think could possibly be contained in just 39 books. I hadn't read a book in a couple of years because I had been pregnant and then I had a baby and I was just exhausted and busy. So this last year was the first time that I actually got to pick up a book and start reading it regularly, and it felt so good to return to books. One of the reasons I was able to do this was because I don't think it was July, I think it was early in the year, maybe January-ish. I got curious what books I had read in my life, and so I started typing up a list of all of the books that I could remember reading since I was in 4th grade, because I couldn't really remember any novel or chapter books before 4th grade. And so I started making this list, and I realized that I was maybe 20 books away from hitting 30. And that was either last year, it was either 2017 or 2018. I can't remember when I started the list. And so my first goal was to hit 300 books. And when I hit the 300 books, I was really, really excited, but I went back and looked at the list and I realized that a lot of the books in the list were chapter books. So I took all the chapter books that were within the same series, say Magic Tree House books or the Jewel Princess books, and I combined them into one entry. So all of the Magic Tree House books were one entry, all of the Jewel Princess books are one entry, stuff like that. And then I realized I still had 20-ish books that I needed to fill back in the slots of. And so then my next goal became to hit that before, so that was, the first goal was to hit it before my 30th birthday. And then now the goal is to fill up all of those slots before the end of my 30th year. And I think that I have maybe 3 or 4 slots left that I need to fill in. So probably by the time I'm done reading the Lunar Chronicles, I'll have filled that up. But So I got to read a ton of books this year, and I was really, really excited. I had so much fun getting to read these books. So I wanted to share some of the statistics with you guys. I broke it down by how many of each genre I had read, because I thought I had a more, even genre, but apparently it's all children's fantasy. So the statistics for that would come out to children's fantasy, 14 books, which I think I mixed in YA books with there, unless the only YA book that I read was Renegades, which I'm not entirely sure. And then children's fiction was 4 books. Science fiction I put for 2.5 because technically Death Trooper counted as science fiction and horror, and I couldn't really decide where to put it. And then adult fantasy 8 books, horror 2 books, and nonfiction 6 books. So first I read The Wish Song of Shannara. It was the last of the 3 of the first Shannara books that I was reading. And I started them in 2017, and I finished The Wish Song in 2018. I read all 6 of the Codex Alara books, which are, most of them have Fury in the title. I read Life in Parts by Bryan Cranston. I read The Holes by Louis Sachar. I forget how that was pronounced. And I read Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. I always pronounce it Crichton, and my husband always gets me for that. I read Tunnel of Time, A Fantastic Journey Across Time by Jeannie Chambers. I read Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I read The Unbreakable Code and the first book in its series, Book Scavenger, by Jennifer Chambliss Burtman. And I read The Westing Game by Ellen Raskin. I read The Star Thief by Lindsay Becker, The Thief Lord by Cornelia Funke, and Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. I read The Death Troopers by Joe Schreiber. I read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. I read Rules for Stealing Stars by Corey Ann Haydu. I read the first book in the Star of Del Torres series, The Shadows of the Master, and the first book in the Impossible Quest series, Escape from Wolfhaven Castle by Kate Forsyth. I read The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill, Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne, and Fablehaven by Brandon Mull. I also read A History of Pie by Peter Beckman, and Human Intimacy, Illusion and Reality by Victor L. Brown Jr., and The Monopoly Companion by Mr. Monopoly as told to Philip Orbanes. I also read The Caldera by John Flanagan, The Crimes of Grindelwald's original screenplay by J.K. Rowling, and Mr. Limoncello's Great Library Race by Chris Grabenstein. And then the books that I read that I don't have the hard copies for anymore were The Picture of Dorian Gray and Ever by Gail Carson Levine. I keep pronouncing it Levine, and I should know better than that because I had a crush on a boy whose last name was Levine, and they were always like, Brandywine Levine, Brandywine Levine. So if anything, I should be able to remember that her last name is pronounced Levine. I don't know why I keep pronouncing it Levine. Also the book How Did It Begin? The Christmas Horse by Tom Fletcher. Astrophysics for People in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't know why. A completely different name was popping up into. And Renegades by Marissa Meyer. So those were my statistics and my videos for 2018. Whoa.